This is Spotlight Omaha. Spotlight Omaha is a local podcast that highlights local businesses and influential movers and shakers in the Omaha business community. Spotlight Omaha is brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. Now, from the Pyramid Contractor Studios, the host of Spotlight Omaha, Jimmy Allen.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome into the Spotlight Omaha podcast, where we take you around the city of Omaha, introduce you to local business owners, influential figures, and people who are making an impact on our community. We are brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. If your company needs its website design, maybe you're not showing up at the top of Google searches, pixelfiremarketing.com is here to help out with all that. Check out pixelfiremarketing.com for more details today. Joining us inside the Pyramid Contractor Studios, David Motz and James. And sorry, James, I apologize, and James. Narke with Breaker Fixers. Appreciate you guys for being here. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having us.
Dave, this is your second time back, but a completely different venture.
Yes.
We'll get back into that in a minute, but what is Breaker Fixers and what are you guys doing?
So Breaker Fixers is a new company servicing the Omaha metro area. And what we do is we take your circuit breaker box, which is likely disorganized if you were anything like me, and we organize it. So every single switch in your panel is labeled exactly what it is with a label maker label. A lot of times handwriting gets sloppy. It wears off over the years.
Time.
It's bad. Some of the ones that we've seen, but we leave you with a very organized, very clean circuit breaker. So next time you run downstairs, you don't got to test switches until you find the right one.
James, I was looking at your guys' website and I saw a couple of pictures of chicken scratch from electricians that looks exactly like a carbon copy of my breaker switch at home. It kind of feels like everybody needs this, right?
Oh, for sure. It's definitely one of those where you also don't realize you need it until you're going to the breaker box, until it's the last minute when you're at your breaker box and you're trying to read this chicken scratch and it's all faded and it's tough to see. So it's definitely something that everybody probably needs in their home.
We had a recent service on our AC and they unplugged the air conditioner and plugged it back in and tripped a bunch of stuff. And we learned that our house is mislabeled as well. David, how often are you guys seeing mislabeled switches in people's homes?
All the time. It's, we had one that said stove, that it did not control the stove. It's sort of like a gamble. If you do a remodel at any point, certain circuits are now connected to other circuits. So maybe your dining room also controls the upstairs bedroom.
Sure.
It's it's a mess.
Light switches that don't do anything.
Sure. Yeah.
we had this fun instance where we pushed the reset button on our west facing or east facing wall, and the microwave on our west wall beeped. So we had to have that we had to have that looked into as well. But James, it's a matter of, hey, listen, that pen is going to fade. That electrician that can only read their handwriting isn't coming back to your home more often than not. What are the compliments that you guys have gotten from having this done?
Just the organization mostly, and the eligibility of being able to actually read it. A lot of the times too, when we open up breaker boxes, you'll see older documents to where there's no area code on a phone number, for example. So that's how long some customers haven't looked at their breaker box or tried to organize it. So we get compliments all the time, like, oh, I can finally understand what's going on inside of this.
How much, David, how much is the electrical work being done by you guys as well with coming in and identifying? Do you guys have electricians that are doing that for you as well? Are you guys going and doing that? How's that process worked so far?
So how it works is you book your appointment online and we show up at your door and we walk through each room and we ask you, what do you want this room to be named? And so we'll go through the kitchen, obviously.
Personalizing it for the homeowner.
Correct. Yeah. Yep. They can have it labeled the way they want. If they want to plan on selling it and making it make sense for the next owner, great. If they just want it to be called David's bedroom, go ahead. Great. It's your breaker box. But so we really tailor it to the customer. We don't actually do electrical work per se. We're not gonna rewire your microwave. We're not gonna do that kind of a thing. But we do test every single outlet. We do test every single light switch and all of your appliances. We do all of that to make sure it's organized.
When we talk about being the professional and giving your recommendation, do you tell most people, yeah, you can name this little Joey's bedroom if you really want to, or do you let them know, hey, there may be coming a time and place where you guys do want to resell this home and it may be better to name it Southwest bedroom or something?
Right. A lot of times they'll end up deferring to us. They say, I don't know. I guess I've never really thought about what I want this to be named.
Right.
I say most customers call this primary bedroom. most customers would go bedroom 1, 2, 3. And then after that, a lot of the rooms, it's like living room, dining room, family room, whatever they want, their personal preference for that.
Yeah. James, I mean, a lot of people don't think about their breaker box until they absolutely have to and open that thing up. But this feels like a necessity for somebody that isn't very tech savvy or haven't experience with anything electrical. Why is this the right time to do this business?
This is the right time because there's nothing really going on right now. If there's a big storm, that's probably when you're going to be going to your breaker box. So right now, when it's kind of calm and there's not a lot of extreme weather going on, this is the perfect time because you don't want to be scrambling during the important times and not knowing what's going to be doing what. So this is the prime opportunity because you just there's nothing to stop you. There's no.
I'd also add to that the housing market, I mean, this is the time where people are buying and selling homes. I know if I went into a home and saw a perfectly labeled electrical panel, I would say these people took care, they cared about
they're maintaining. Yeah.
Right. Or on the other side of the thing, if I just bought a house, right, I get to a house and I'm like, I want one less thing to worry about. We're super affordable as far as our rate goes, and it's just one less thing I have to think about as I'm moving into this new home.
I want to talk about the rate for a minute. You guys are up for pricing. It's right on the website. When you go there, you know exactly what you're paying for when you click on breaker fixtures. $50 deposit, $5 breaker label. Why is it so important to give the homeowner or the eventual purchaser that upfront pricing to where they know exactly what they're getting when you walk in the door?
I think a lot of companies, especially nowadays, they want you to call. They want you to get you on the phone. They want some sort of a in so that way they have your number. They want you hooked, basically. And I think me as a consumer, I just want to know the cost. And if I can afford it, I'll call you. If I can't, then on to the next. But that's kind of our thing of just giving it all up front and letting the consumer really have the power.
Oh, in Omaha, houses are very different, right? The house you're going to go into in Gretna versus the house you're going to go into South Omaha, probably look and switches feel a lot different. There's still some houses in the older parts of towns that have the screw-in switches. Can you guys help with those as well?
So like I think it's called like knob and tube or something.
Yep.
We don't get into those.
Sure.
So I think a lot of those are not safe anymore at this point. I think a lot of people just end up rewiring their homes. It's super hazardous. I know my brother had a house in Dundee, and it's like, don't touch any of the wiring. Don't touch any of the existing wiring. We're going to turn it off, rewire the house, and then, of course, we can label the panel after that.
I had a house in South Omaha where it was knob and tube, and every 15 days or so, the one that controlled the dryer would burn out. So the dryer would spin, you wouldn't know, and then you'd go to take it out, it'd still be wet because the switch wasn't putting it through. And I think about stuff like that, and obviously it was a rental, so I didn't have any control over the wiring. But also you had to turn it off because if you unscrewed it, the whole house, because if you unscrewed it while it was plugged in, you'd electrocute yourself. Yeah. So I think about stuff like that where you could also do warning labels for certain things as well. Sure. Is that something you guys have thought about also?
Not so far.
Sure.
I mean, we're happy to sort of evolve and grow. And
this is a very new venture.
Sure.
Yeah.
And we've done a handful of houses, and if things come up where we're like, oh, that's a great idea, we should have a sticker on here to call us if something changes. If you do a remodel, we should have business cards to give out referral discounts. Like,
sure,
these are all things that are growing with the company. But the basic core concept is a very simple. Here's what we do. Here's why you should do it.
We're catching up with David Motz and James Narke of Breaker Fixtures here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing and Pyramid Contractors. I want to talk about the idea. How did the idea for the company come about?
I mean, us. Really.
Yeah.
We went down to our panels.
Yeah. We take a look at our breaker box, and it was pretty messy. It's couldn't read what was going on. It's also, the labeling was wrong too, because if you rewire your house, the labels haven't been changed from the last homeowner. It's going to say, living room. And if you flick that, that's not going to be the living room. That's now the upstairs bedroom.
You mean the paper didn't update itself?
Yeah, exactly.
When we talk about building relationships in Omaha and making sure that you're talking to the right people, I have to imagine it's probably electricians first, but maybe not home inspectors and things like that. That's got to be the right ideal kind of business to business for you guys to talk to, right?
And realtors,
sure,
too. Like, you're selling your home, hey, do this. It's a $150 charge,
right?
Usually in that ballpark. Do this. like I said, it gives you peace of mind for selling your home, that they know you took care of your home, and then, okay, now you're buying a house. It's the same conversation. So realtors, I think, would really benefit from this as just a quick upselling point.
And maybe new construction builders as well.
Sure.
Yep. We're seeing this explosion in Omaha right now. It's according to Forbes, the fastest growing city in America. Gretna's growing. There's money going back into South and North Omaha, maybe replacing some of those tubes that we just talked about. Is that another reason why it's just kind of the right time to do this too? Is there's some demand out there for this as well?
100%. Yeah, there's definitely demand because of the explosion that Omaha is growing at, or the rate that Omaha is growing at. Yeah, it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah,
it's cool to see Omaha growing like this.
As far as the process, if somebody goes over to breakerfixtures.com, they're able to sign up. They do the upfront pricing, all that. How long does it take once you guys are in the home until the end of the process? Usually, give or take.
We say 1 to 2 hours. Our technical slot is booked for 3 in case something's a little harder than it should be. We haven't ran into that yet. The houses we've done, 2 hours is our maximum that we've gotten through a house, and it's a big house, a 3-story home that we did in Papillion. But yeah, it's not a long thing, but we make sure every single switch and outlet are tested in your home.
And pretty invasive or uninvasive, right? Where you're coming in, you don't really need the homeowner to be walking you through the house. You can kind of do this stuff by yourself. How often are you having people ask, do I need to be home? And what's the answer to that question?
They don't need to be home. We always tell them, if you have preferences on what the rooms should be labeled, jot that down, maybe leave a sticky note on the door of the room. They don't have to be home, but it's nice for them to be there. Just if we need their input on really just the naming aspect of it.
James, Chris on YouTube wants to know, how much does this ever affect home security systems, and do you guys have to label things like that as well?
I don't know if we've had to do a home security system. I would imagine it would be on, but
it's no different than like a modem type situation where if it's hardwired in, it'll have its own switch. If it's plugged in somewhere, we'll test that outlet and we'll get that labeled. There will be, expected disruptions. Like, we're going to have to test your modem. So if there's not a free outlet on that box, we're going to have to unplug your internet. We're going to have to test the switch.
Could be down for a little while.
Watching TV, the TV will be turned off at some point.
Eric, who I know is an actual electrician here in Omaha and a former guest of the show, wants to know, are you guys looking at doing commercial spaces as well?
We haven't got into commercial spaces. It is, we're kind of a bare bones crew just getting started up. We always joke the dream is to get a hospital. But then you think about
that's a lot.
The implications to people on the machines and everything. So I mean,
but new builds, I mean, there's a new hospital going out in Gretna right now, and that's obviously an option. So
not so much on the commercial side of things at this point. Not to say that isn't a goal of ours.
James, is that the biggest area for growth though, is getting out of the residential space into the commercial space, or have you guys had any? I mean, listen, we just talked about a handful of houses, right? Have you guys had any talks about growth at this point?
Mostly just with residential. Yeah, we haven't really talked about commercial. It's just there's so many houses. And that's to us that seemed like the easiest space. And we also own houses, so it's easy to go into a home.
And you know what you know, right?
Exactly. We know what we know. So it's just nice with homes, going in, knowing where the breaker box there is, and not having to. I guess we've never really discussed with commercial.
What does growth over the next couple of months look like then? Where would you like to kind of see this scale to? Last time you were in here, you guys were developing a game. You guys had an end goal, right? It was like, hey, once we get to X amount of dollars, we've won the race. What does it look like for Breaker Fixtures over the next couple of months?
So Breaker Fixtures, we just want to fill in our calendar. We have full-time jobs, so it's not like we're going to be there from 9 to 5. But Monday through Friday, if we can fill up our slot at 6 o'clock, and then having a few jobs on the weekend. This isn't really a get rich idea, right? We're not trying to take over Omaha by organizing circuit breakers, but we are trying
not
to
yet.
Not yet. We are trying to help people though. And I think that is more important than, economic growth at this point for us. We're trying to come in, give you one less thing to worry about. It was a problem for us. So, it's mostly just about helping people right now.
Walk us through the process. If we call or book online, what are the next steps and how do you go about setting it up?
Yeah, so there's the 3 steps are outlined on the website, but basically you can go on our site, you can book it on our site. There's a $50 booking fee. And then basically from there, we'll reach out to you. If you want to call us, you can do that too. And we can sort of do that on the back end on our side. But we'll give you a call. We'll figure out, make sure we know your address and make sure things are going to line up for your schedule. We'll show up at your house. Like I said, we walk through each room, label it how you want to label it, and then we'll go to work. And then honestly, the most tedious part of it is printing out the labels on our label maker one by one, but we make sure it's all nice and pretty for you. There are pictures on the website so you can see sort of a before and after of what to expect.
I think that kind of answers DevMan64 on Twitter. Is there a color coding scheme? And what does the label actually look like? I guess we could print off some pictures for that, and I apologize. That's on me, guys. But what does the actual format or box breakdown look like?
So circuit breakers are different. Everyone's kind of not everyone's different, but we've seen a few different kinds. Some of them have enough space for the label to go directly next to the switch.
Yep.
And there's enough space for that, which is great. There is no sort of key that you need to reference. If it doesn't warrant the space, we'll use the door of the panel. And we have this nice printout where it's, numbered and color coded, where it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way down to, I think, 60. And then we have stickers that will go next to the switch in those cases. So number 1, it'll say kitchen or whatever, and it'll match to number 1 on the switch. And
you mentioned it's a label maker, so if somebody does come in and need to rewire their house, you guys can come back out and just peel and stick, right? Yeah. Exactly. Was that the thought process of, hey, if we ever have to do this again, we will make it as easy on ourselves as we possibly can?
Absolutely. We need to be able to adjust to the customer. And if you do decide to do a remodel, if you call us up, we'll come out free of charge and update it for you.
And we're catching up with David Motz and James Narke here from Breaker Fixers on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing Pyramid Contractors. James, when we talk about what's next, I mean, is the thought process we need to hire some employees? Do you guys want to continue to do this yourself? How does that look?
Some employees would be nice, but we're just wanting to get more
jobs out of the way first.
Yeah. So we kind of want to grow in that aspect first, and then maybe eventually hire some employees. But right now, we're just looking at growth of getting more jobs in the near future.
David, last time you were here, we were talking. We got to give people an update.
Okay.
You guys had a goal set for Woodjobby. It was called, correct?
Yeah.
Did we hit the goal, or is it on the shelves?
It is not on the shelves. We did not hit the goal.
Okay.
We had such a massive goal for that because there's a minimal order quantity of 5,000 boards,
right?
And that was killing us. I mean, it was like $170,000.
Yeah,
I think we raised 50 of it.
Well, congratulations.
So we did do that. Of course, everybody got their money back, and we didn't go forward because if you don't meet your full goal on Kickstarter, that's just the way it goes.
Is there any thought process in giving it a shot to bring Woodjobby back down the road?
That's all I think about.
Yeah.
I mean, even this, I've thought of some other ideas, some other game ideas that are much lower costs. But if I hit the lottery tomorrow, the first thing I would do is make Woodjobby real.
I have to ask, have you thought about the Shark Tank idea and maybe going that route?
At this point, I just want to see that on a shelf. So originally it was about protecting our idea and going on Shark Tank. You give them a percentage of your company just for going on. At this point, I'm like, if
Mark Cuban, if you're watching, give us a call. Yeah.
Hey, we're open to the idea of it, at least at this point.
You've got all that money from selling the Mavericks, so maybe we can make some work. Yeah. Guys, we talked about a lot today. Is there anything about Breaker Fixers we haven't mentioned?
I don't think so. Nope.
Tell people how they can find you.
You can find us at breakerfixers.com. My phone number is listed on there, or you can book it online.
Do you want to give the number?
402-578-2446.
James, anything else you want to add?
No, I think we've summed up what we wanted to say here.
That's David Motz and James Narke with Breaker Fixers. Check out breakerfixers.com. If you want to have your box labeled today, we'll be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing and Pyramid Contractors. Thanks for joining us. Like and subscribe on YouTube. We'll see you in the morning.